Hey guys, welcome back to Ben & Brewing's channel. If you haven't been here before, we do product reviews, tutorials, and we have a live chat feature on our website to help you through your Brew Day 911s. Check it out at benandbrewing.com, chat us up, and let us know if you have any questions. Today's video, we're doing something a little bit different. We've done a couple of beer batches on the iGulu F1 using their kits. Today, we've been challenged to actually brew a batch of kombucha on the iGulu. Let's check it out. First off, today's video is sponsored by iGulu, who challenged us to make kombucha in their iGulu F1. It is primarily a beer machine, but it is capable of doing other fermented beverages. We're going to try our hand on making a lemon ginger kombucha in the iGulu. We do have a coupon code listed below for 20% off your entire order at igulu.com. If you do decide to purchase the machine or any of their beer kits, use coupon code Ben & Brewing. Let's get into it. All right, now the ingredients list to make kombucha is actually pretty simple. I was surprised when I went through what was actually needed. So we're gonna need a gallon of good clean water, which is what we're gonna use for the iGulu, and you're gonna wanna make a black tea using that 1 gallon. Now, we're using PG tips for our tea, and it was about 8 tea bags in that gallon of water that we boiled, we let steep for 10 minutes, and then let it cool down to room temperature. You're gonna need 1 cup of cane sugar, and make sure it's cane sugar and not beet sugar. And then of course, you're gonna need your SCOBY. Now we got ours off of Amazon. It's an organic SCOBY in a starter liquid, and it actually really wasn't that expensive. So we're excited to give this little guy a try. All these ingredients listed here will be available and linked below on Amazon if you want to purchase and make exactly what we're making. Okay, so you're gonna take your gallon of water and you're going to make your black tea with it. Boil your water, make sure you pour it over the tea bags. Don't go the other way around. Don't put your tea bags into the hot water. You want to put your water over the tea bags. Let it steep for 10 to 15 minutes and then let it cool down overnight or however long it takes to get it back to room temperature. Once that's done, you can transfer your black tea into your Triton keg vessel. And then you will mix in your 1 cup of sugar. Make sure that it is fully dissolved. And then you're gonna take your SCOBY and you're gonna open your package. I would pour out as much of the starter liquid as you can, depending on what type you get, and just pitch the SCOBY directly into your Triton keg. You're gonna wanna clamp the lid and make sure that you add the pressure relief valve. I actually designed one, have one on my website if you'd like to purchase. At this time, I'm not actually selling them, but if you email me, brian@benandbrewing.com, and you want one, if you just pay for shipping, I'll send you one. But it's a nice little thing that makes sure your pressure relief valve is open for the first part of your SCOBY fermentation, and that is important. You don't want to do pressure fermentation in those first stages. The other thing that we've done, we've modified the Triton keg slightly, not only with the addition of the pressure relief lock to keep your pressure valve open, we've also added a floating dip tube. Now, I feel like this is important when you're going kind of beyond the recipe kits that come with the iGulu. What's nice about this one, this is the Float It 2.1 by Homebrewer Labs. You can find them on Amazon. This, in my opinion, is the best floating dip tube on the market. We'll have that link below if you do want to purchase one of those. The modification of the Triton keg is super easy. The benefit and the reason I want to do that is because we're going to be adding flavors to the kombucha later on. This has a triple screen on it that will filter out anything that we're adding flavor-wise. If you're doing a fruit puree, or in our case, we're gonna be doing finely chopped ginger with some lemon, that will filter out and make sure it doesn't get into your glass. And I think that's very, very important. Keep in mind this modification will be handy too, and stay tuned for those videos when we start doing some dry hopping where we can pitch the hops directly into the keg. So once you get your SCOBY pitch and everything is in there, you'll put your lock on the lid, go ahead and drop it into your iGulu, and you're gonna wanna set the fermentation to about 68, 69 degrees for, I would say, about 10 days, and you can check it throughout as it goes, but that's gonna be your main fermentation temperature. Now, if you haven't had a chance to unlock master mode, you can use one of the ale profiles that exist on the current version of their software. If you have been able to unlock master mode, you can dial in exact temperature with exact number of days for fermentation. My understanding is that master mode is available. It will be available shortly. It is $100. They send you an RFID card that you will scan on your iGulu, and that unlocks all sorts of possibilities for fermented beverages. After 7 to 10 days of fermentation, it's about time to start tasting the kombucha to see kind of how the flavor is progressing. So you'll want to go into your iGulu, you'll want to loosen the clamp a couple of clicks or click it down a couple of clicks, you're able to pour off of the tap, and then take your pressure relief valve and remove the lock so it will start to build pressure, and either push it out using your CO2 mode or your gas mode, air mode with the little air pump. Pour out a little bit and see how it tastes. You know, about 7 days into it, if you're liking the way it's tasting, it has a little bit of sweetness to it and you're okay with that, then you can drink it from then on. Go ahead and pull out your SCOBY, your colony. You can put it in the fridge in the container. It'll be good for about 6 months. Make sure you leave some liquid on it as well so it stays submerged. And you can drink your kombucha as is. If you're pumping it out with CO2, once you chill it down and enter cooling mode, and you're pumping it out with CO2, it will carbonate or add to more of the carbonation that already occurs in there. If you prefer more of a still kind of kombucha, or you want to keep the carbonation level low, use the air pump mode to pump it out, and that will ensure it doesn't increase in the CO2 quantity. Now, keep in mind, as this ages, it will get less and less sweet and more of that kind of vinegar flavor, but if that's what you like, then you're basically done. For us, we want to add some additional flavor, and that's where we get into secondary fermentation. So that's our second option. So let's talk about the secondary fermentation for the kombucha. This is where you can add whatever flavor you want. Whether you're doing a fruit puree or adding juice or really anything to it to add some flavor. You want to be careful about not adding too much sugar because you don't want to really boost too much of what's going on in there. You just want a little bit of residual sweetness, a little bit of fruit flavor. So for the lemon ginger version that we're doing today, you're going to need 4 lemons that are juiced. We're doing a tablespoon of freshly chopped ginger. Now you want finely chopped because you want to make sure you pick up some of that nice fresh ginger flavor into the kombucha with the lemon. And then 4 tablespoons of honey. Now the purpose of the honey is to help build carbonation in your kombucha. So the first thing you'll do, you will take your Triton keg out of the iGulu. You'll go ahead and make sure there's no pressure in there. Take the lid off. Remove your SCOBY, take it out for secondary fermentation. You really don't want to be adding fruit and other things into the mix because that can throw off your SCOBY. You want to make sure it stays healthy and is just fermenting tea and sugar, and that's really it. Take your SCOBY, you can put it in the fridge in a little container, make sure it stays submerged in some of the liquid, some of the tea that it's already fermented in, and it should be good for about 6 months in the fridge and you can brew with it again. Once you've taken your SCOBY out, go ahead and add your ginger and your lemon juice and your honey and make sure that gets nice and dissolved in there. Go ahead and put the lid back on it, and this time make sure the pressure relief valve does close. We're wanting that honey to get fermented by the yeast and bacteria that are still floating in solution and building up the carbonation. You'll put it back into your iGulu, you'll let it ferment for another 5 to 10 days at the 68 degrees, and that will help build up the carbonation. And then when you're serving it, make sure you're using CO2 mode. So you'll crash cool it down to whatever serving temperature you like, you'll serve it with CO2 to make sure you don't lose any of that carbonation, and we'll see how it turns out. All right, guys, we are back after 10 days of fermentation with the iGulu and the kombucha. We're actually excited to taste it. I'm curious to see what flavor additions, as far as the ginger and the lemon go, how that's impacted the flavor, and how sweet it's going to be versus kind of that vinegary flavor that can be very prominent in older kombuchas. So, should we give it a taste?
I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
I'm ready.
It smells interesting.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, I smell the honey. There's a lot of honey smell.
I get a lot of black tea in there. I like that, though.
It's really good. It tastes like tea.
It's like a sweet tea almost.
Yeah, that's really
But
good.
with a little bit of kombucha in the background. Are you getting any lemon or ginger?
I'm getting a little lemon, for sure.
No, the ginger's in there too. It's subtle.
Very subtle. There's a little spice to it.
Yeah, it's not overpowering. Actually, that's very refreshing.
You know what this tastes like? And it even smells like it. Do you remember the powdered tea, the Nest tea? The sweet Nest tea? No.
Never had that.
That's exactly what it tastes like.
Is that what it is? The black tea, the PG Tips holds up really, really well. It has that almost a nice black tea tannic, not in a bad way though, quality to it.
No, I think that was the right choice because the black tea comes through.
Absolutely. The color is interesting. It's a little cloudy. That is very refreshing. I wish the carbonation level was a little bit higher. I think that's just a matter of the timing on it because I really only crash cooled it and allowed it to build pressure the past 3 days. And so there's really not a whole lot of carbonation in it. I think this would be served with a little bit more carbonation. I know from what you and I were talking about earlier, there's typically not a ton of carbonation. There can be a little bit just from the naturally occurring fermentation process itself. I think as crisp as this is, a little bit of carbonation I think would help.
Definitely.
A little bit to freshen it up or to crisp it up even more.
I really like that you do get, especially as you sip it a little bit more, the lemon comes through as like kind of a little sour taste, but not puckering sour.
That is very refreshing. I think on a hot day, working in the yard, and you're looking for something, maybe non-alcoholic, but that's actually good for you, this would be a good little thing to do.
This is so good. Especially right now, it's already hot now. It's like 90 degrees out. This tastes so good today.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it's really good for your gut health.
It is. A lot of good beneficial bacteria in that. That's true. I can't stop drinking it. That is really, really good. That was easy to make too.
This is interesting though, because most kombuchas I've had still taste kind of like beer. Like that, I know a lot of people that can't drink kombucha because it has kind of that beer flavor. This doesn't taste like beer to me at all. And
we're drinking it pretty young too, so I'd be curious as we let it kind of age over the next week or two. I probably wouldn't go beyond that because I know you're supposed to drink it fresh, but I'd be curious to see how the flavor develops. If some of that honey sweetness that we're getting a lot of kind of starts to go away and it starts to build more carbonation from the honey that we've added. This is really good.
This might be one of my favorite drinks that we've ever made. That sounds terrible, but it's that good.
I've had store-bought kombucha before. I am not a fan of kombucha. I really like this.
This is more like, to me, a sweet tea.
Yeah, I can't stop drinking it.
I would bring this to a picnic in a picture, for sure. Actually, no. You just bring the iGulu.
The iGulu, yes.
Just like in their promotional
Serve from
videos.
there. Yeah, this is a fun experiment.
I'm definitely not mad about it.
No, not at all. Big thanks to iGulu for sponsoring our video, making kombucha in an iGulu. I think it turned out fantastic. I'm super happy with how it came out, and it was actually very, very easy. Stick around for future videos where we do some more experiments on the iGulu. Catch you later, my friends.